Welcome to Alex Collier's 5th webinar in 2016. Today's topic is maintaining planetary sovereignty through all of the changes. There will be a question and answer session at the end. Please keep your questions short and concise for Alex. So, have your notepad at the ready, be seated comfortably, and enjoy today's webinar. Here's your host, JP. Welcome to today's 10th webinar, 5th this year. It's May today. We have some extra. No, we don't have anything extra. We just got the same things, but much more stuff. Alex, please take over from me because I'm just babbling here.
Good morning, good afternoon, good day, everybody, and good evening. I hope you're well. It's really nice to be here again. We have a lot to cover today, and it's amazing how the month goes by so quickly. I wanted to announce that we will be going to 2 webinars a month format here soon, and it'll be the first and third Friday of each month. And so stay tuned for that. And there's a reason, because there's just so much happening and so much going on. On the other side of this wall here at the library, there's it's like a daycare nursery and the such. So during the presentation, if you hear children singing, it is in fact children singing. Just a few moments ago, they were singing "Itsy Bitsy Little Spider." It was really, really sweet, and so I wanted to give you a heads up on that. It's just so you know what's going on. So listen, we're gonna cover a lot of things today, and we're going to start with the Nibiru update. Okay. I've had some questions as to whether or not I was even going to talk about it, and there were a few people who didn't want to do the presentation today. They wanted me to just update them on what I was going to say, and unfortunately that's just not quite how it works, because there's constantly updates. Life is moving. It isn't just, okay, this is what it is, and it's constantly moving, it's constantly evolving. There is a flow of energy that is just rushing through the planet, through our solar system, through our lives, as you're all aware of. So, but let's just talk about Nibiru. It is still stationary, but there are a lot of things going on nonetheless. The debris that has been in the tail, much of it is actually hitting the backside of the sun. Some of the larger pieces of debris that are dangerous to us in our solar system have been removed, or I should say no longer exist. They've been pulverized. What's interesting too is that they have found that some pieces of debris in the tail, some larger unique pieces, were actually the ancient remnants of other planets. And those pieces have been taken out of the tail and are being relocated somewhere else for study and observation, etc. I don't have any more specific information than that. I don't have any more specific information regarding the protocols of engagement between the Nibiruans and contact with Earth, because as I told you previously when I was first told about this, that they were acting independently on this. So there is a lot of things going on. The removal of some of the largest pieces of debris in the tail, I am told that our space fleet is in fact participating in a limited way in the removal of some of those pieces. Now, based on where it is, if it continues to stay in that position. Somewhere between September and October, as we start moving into the fall season, we will more or less be out of its path should it begin to move at that point and come. In other words, it will not come directly over the top of our planet. We would still pass through a debris field, but I understand that what's happening now, as far as the removal of some of the debris, the more dangerous and the larger pieces, etc., that don't hit the sun, or that's an issue. However, there are still plans, as far as I know, to plow the road, to get in front of that, and to make sure that as we pass through it, we're not in any way, shape, or form looking at extinction-level events, which has happened in our past here on the continent. So that's a good thing. So those are positive updates. And we're just now waiting to see, what's the next shoe to drop at this point. The Earth's magnetic field, however, is fluctuating quite a bit. And what I mean by that is it's flipping like this, more or less. And pilots who are flying using GPS are having a difficult time. The GPS coordinates are constantly being updated because the planet's magnetic field is flipping. Now, this could be because of Nibiru. There are some extreme weather that is in fact going on, as was mentioned previously. In certain places on the planet, it's very bad, and some places they're very, very mild. I can tell you here in Colorado, it is still snowing in the mountains. The other day, the high was 49, and there were cars coming down from the mountains with snow on them. So, and then of course there's the flooding that's going on. Tornadoes, there's just a lot of things going on weather-wise, and so all of that has to be kept an eye on, because the ecosystem is changing, the Earth is evolving and changing, and so is our consciousness. Now, regarding our consciousness, as many of you may be aware of, there are a lot of changes happening politically and financially. Now, the key mechanism for control of this planet has been the financial system. And there is a lot of movement going on there, a lot of change. There is a great need and desire to change the financial system of old and integrate it into something that is much more beneficial, much more open and freer, and in fact more real, if we're going to use a financial system, than just the ability to take paper and print pictures on it and say that's money. Okay? The fiat system is what I'm referring to. So what's happening is that the desire to make that change is so great that what we're seeing is an expansion of consciousness to make this change. And then what happens is the old power system is suppressing that energy. Okay, they're doing all kinds of stupid things, sabotaging the shifts, the changes. So what we're seeing is, and this is what we're seeing, is an expansion of we want change, people wanting change, and then the old system comes in and suppresses it. So we have the expansion and then the suppression, the expansion and then the suppression of the energy. I want you to know that the expansion is going to win. It's just at what point does the suppression fail? Okay, the oppression of the system, the containment of the old way. When does that fail? And it appears that it's coming imminently. there has been no surrender that I'm aware of. Let me just say that. So the issues are going to be forced into existence, and the expansion is going to win because this is truly the will of the people. Everybody, regardless of who you are, whether they're aware of these shifts and these changes and are consciously aware of all that's going on the planet, even if they're not, on some level, they are in fact wanting change, which is why we're seeing this huge shift, this huge expansion in consciousness, because we're done. You know, we're all done hurting and being told we're not good enough and being told there isn't enough, and you know, that constant lie of you cannot be free, you can't be trusted with freedom, because the ones putting that lie out are the ones who are trying to contain all of humanity. So I don't know why that's occurring. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the new systems are coming into place. They will, because the old system has had its day. It had its course, it's run its course, and it has been its ability to rob humanity of its wealth has come to an end. And that literally is what it is. Okay? So this new system will be the next stage towards, hopefully, learning how to live without having to pay to live on a planet we were born on. But we will just have to see. I don't know if it'll be in my lifetime or not. Hopefully for you younger people, it'll be in your lifetime. And you know, this really does symbolize humanity's struggle to identify itself, to literally define itself in all kinds of ways. I mean, not only spiritually, but you know, does humanity actually see itself as being able to be free and truly wanting to be free, or you know, does it feel that it can't take that responsibility and it wants to live in some form of control, enslavement, communism, you know, where the state has to rule? I mean, you know, what made the United States so unique is that the government was meant to be the servant, not the master. And even though much of that has been lost, that ground has been lost, you know, many people here and across the world now, there's a rebirth of that, where, you know, government's role is to serve humanity, not to control and feed off of humanity. That's what parasites do. And who the hell wants that? No one really wants that. It makes no difference. And this consciousness is also very relative to the vibrations that are coming from the center of the galaxy, that are permeating not only all the stars and the suns, but you know, also the planets. And we have a very strong symbiotic relationship with those planets. So as that energy, that frequency is rising, so are we, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. Okay? There is a paradigm that is coming, that is shifting. And this is why several webinars back we talked about we all have to start thinking differently. Okay? And what that means is, essentially, is we have to re-identify ourselves. We have to stop looking at ourselves as who we think we are now based on the old paradigm. If you were tomorrow to miraculously have everything wiped clean, and you were told you could be anything you wanted to be, anybody you wanted to be, who would that be? Who would you see yourselves being? Who would you want to be? What talents would you want to have? What economic opportunities would you want to have? What type of mind would you want to have? What type of spirituality? What type of consciousness? Where would you, in fact, want to be? This is what I'm talking about when we say we have to think differently. It is literally about living an inspired life. And that inspiration comes from you. Okay? Understanding truly what makes you happy. And in that, what is it that you need to do to live that inspired life? You know, to be able to do what you want to do, and to figure out what you need to do from what goes right and from what goes wrong. And I mean, that's what life does, you know. But we all have to build our lives for ourselves. You have to build your life for you. And everyone else needs to get down with that and support you, or they need to lay down and get out of your way. And I guess I'm kind of steering this more towards the younger people that may be on the call, or who are starting to ask the questions or watching their, you know, the webinars, the replays. You know, maybe this is good for middle-aged people who are ending relationships and starting over, or ending a career and are looking to do something different. You are the creators of you. No one else is. And what anybody else thinks doesn't matter. What really matters is what you want and what you want to do. Okay, but that inspiration has to come from you. I mean, there are things that can be outside of you that inspire you, but you have to create that within you and make it happen for you. And you just have to believe it. You truly have to believe it. And in the past, I have talked about the importance of hearing your own frequency. And what I mean by that is being able to feel your core, your self-center, that love that you have for you, or to get reacquainted with that love that is in fact you. Okay? And I have talked a lot about being in nature, and how it's so grounding, and how important it is to be quiet so that you can actually feel your own vibration. It's so easy with day-to-day life that your entire projection of you is on the outside. And what I mean by the outside is having to take care of all this stuff. The kids, the feeding, the laundry, the house, your job, car maintenance, the lawn, the yard, your sister's kids, your brother's kids, helping your mom, all the stuff that's outside of what it might be that inspires you to live every day. Now, it could be that your family and everything that you do on the outside inspires you, and you get joy from doing all that. That's awesome. But when you're alone, when you're really, really quiet, when you get those moments, what is it that you want to do? If you can stop and say, okay, I'm 60 years old, and I look back, do I have any regrets? Are there things that I haven't done so far that I've wanted to do? And I can speak for me and say yes. There's many things, actually. So for me, the point here is to become inspired and to figure out how to do those things, my checklist, or some people call it a bucket list, from this point on, for however much time I have, to do those things that I want to do. I would say that to you as well. And the reason I'm even bringing this up is because the spiritual frequency, to be able to have the energy and the will and the inspired spiritual nature to do these things, is all around us. Okay? This is where the paradigm shift is coming from. It's all around us. And the more joy you have, the more joy that you carry in your day-to-day life, the more it will affect the frequency of everything around you. And that includes your family. And it doesn't mean that they're going to have to sit down and listen to a webinar, or they're going to have to sit down and read a book, or anything like that, or their home team isn't going to have to win the Super Bowl. It doesn't mean any of that. What it means is that as a family, humanity feeds off each other. And the more positive we are, the more higher and quicker the frequency will rise. Because the containment of the dark side is to create and contain with negativity. That's all they have left, is just this negative shit that they have been trying to feed us over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? And the sooner we can continue and hold that space of real, genuine, positive frequency, naturally, okay, just naturally being that frequency, the sooner the containment's gone, okay? And for me, I want the containment gone 5 years ago. So, you know, the sooner we get this over with, the sooner we can move on. Now, talking about the regressives and the negatives. There is a phenomenon going on that is not being talked about, and it is happening in every major continent on the planet. Europe, the Soviet Union, Asia, North America, South America. And essentially what it is this. There are people vanishing literally off the face of the earth. And I'm talking about people who are in groups and who are in hiking in wilderness areas. And what's happening, well, there's actually two things happening. One that's above and one that's below. These people, what's happening is that a holograph of nature is being created. So someone will be walking along a trail. This is happening here in the Rocky Mountains as well. And what will happen is they will just walk into, unbeknownst to them, mostly because they're not really paying attention. They will walk into an area where suddenly they still feel they're on the trail, they're in nature, but there is absolutely no sound. No birds chirping, no wind. They don't hear the trees rustling, even though if they were to actually look, they would see all of those things going on. All right, but there's no sound. And what's happening is they are walking into a holograph, and they are being taken either down below or they're being taken up above. And I mention this because this has been going on, and I've asked the question, and I finally got the answer as to what's been going on. When there are remnants of clothing or anything pertaining to that person left on the ground, they are being taken up. Okay? And it has been the Greys in the past. Some of them have been taken by Archons. There is some of that still going on, unfortunately. Okay? And it's being covered up by the governments. They know, but they're not in a position to stop it. When somebody vanishes without a trace, they're being taken underground, generally by the reptilians. And there's literally footprints in the trail and it ends. Okay, and that's because they walked into this holograph. And again, if you find yourself in a situation where you're walking and all of a sudden there's absolutely no sound, there's nothing, no birds, no leaves, no rustling of anything, you need to stop and you need to back out of that holograph right away, and literally you will step, it'll be one step to the next, but suddenly you will hear nature all around you. And you can test this, okay? I would get out of the area as quickly as possible should you walk into this kind of a scenario. And I have talked to others who have been in this scenario, experienced hikers who recognized the fact that something was going on, and they immediately turned around and moved out of these scenarios. Okay, and I now have confirmation that that's what's been going on. Okay, and these things can happen anywhere. But the secret is, the thing to look for is the fact that there's absolutely no sound. Okay? I will have more on that the next time we talk. But it's important to note that. Because when I say nature, I don't necessarily mean you have to, go far out into the wilderness. You don't need to do that. Okay? Any quiet park setting, just anything where you can get yourself grounded and to be quiet, because the earth is taking all of this frequency first, okay, and it's coming up through our feet, and then we are connecting to that same frequency with the sun. Okay, so let me say that again. We're getting it physically from the earth, okay, through our feet, and spiritually we are getting it from the sun. Our souls, our higher selves, they're all connecting to the sun. So we're getting it both ways. And it's important to get in touch with that, to connect with that frequency. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you are multidimensional. And it's imperative that you remember that you are multidimensional. So that when you start thinking holographically, you don't scare the crap out of yourselves. Okay? It will make sense that you will see things, you will begin to see things very differently, and you will see the level of shifts of energy happening around you, and you will see how everything interacts. And those who aren't paying attention, when this first happens to them, they're probably going to scare the hell out of themselves, okay? But if you remember that you are multidimensional, it will make sense, because you will see how your thoughts, the frequency of your voice, you will begin to see how all these things affect everything that's going on in your life. It's remarkable, and this is all the parts of the process of being a creator. Now, I'm not saying you're God. I'm saying we are part of the process of becoming all that is, the isness, okay? Whatever word you want to use for that. We are part of the fabric of all that is. There is just no denying that. And we have a responsibility to take our piece of that and to use it responsibly and to contribute to the whole of everything that there is, okay? Now, the Earth's magnetic field is doing its thing. I don't know what's going to happen there. Generally, when the magnetic field flips, there is usually generally a physical pole shift that accompanies it relatively soon. I don't know what that looks like just yet, all right? So I want you to be aware of that scenario. I don't know if that's going to play out, okay? But I'm just giving you all the pieces, okay, of what's going on. Because of the new paradigm and what is in fact happening to the Earth, I want you to be fully aware of the fact that this new paradigm does not involve violence. When it fully takes hold and is fully integrated with and around humanity, it is not about violence, okay? And the reason I'm bringing this up is I've had many, many conversations with the A's, regarding what's going to happen to the power, to the reptilians, the regressor groups, and those humans that are here who have completely betrayed humanity. And at one time there was conversations regarding, there was an idea that some congressmen, some politicians, they would be hung as a public display for their betrayal of humanity, etc. As this takes hold, essentially what's going to happen, at least what looks like is going to be happening at this point, is that many of these regressives, if not all of them, who do not die by the hands of their own, will be dying in their sleep. They will just be pulled out of here spiritually, and their bodies will die, but they will be pulled out of here, so there's no violence. Okay? And humanity will move in another direction, but they will be pulled out of here. Specifically those who are human. They will be dying in their sleep in record numbers and just be taken out of here, and their souls will be taken someplace else. I don't have that piece, what happens to their souls, and quite frankly, there's a part of me that doesn't care. They just need to go. They need to let us go. They need to let us go so that we can continue to evolve and reach our potential, at least move in the direction of our potential, and stop being contained and manipulated and fed fear as a steady diet. Okay? Now I know, because I have not had it easy either, that sometimes life and circumstances can soak us to the bone with grief and with disillusionment, with lack of trusting, etc. Many of sometimes think that love has let us down, or it's never risen to our expectations, and then it just kind of leaves us wondering, well, God, what is real? What is real? And I get all that. Because many of us have the idea that love is supposed to be freedom. And many of us have wondered, how do we make love stay? We see it every day in relationships, and then for something happens, and then it just goes, and we question: is it us? Is it them? And when we don't have answers, we tend to blame others, and there really is no blame. Yes, mistakes are made. Yes, sometimes we hurt each other. But the only true way to make love stay is for you to always truly love yourself. And that can only come from the deepest part of you, the deepest part of your soul, the deepest part of your essence, that part of you that isn't physical, okay? That part of you that takes off when you dream, that part of you that's intuitive, that part of you that's always kind and empathetic, your spirit, your soul, your essence. And no matter what happens, as long as you have that, you will always be in a place of being able to let go of what doesn't work, and always be in a place to embrace what does work, and to embrace the new adventures that come to you after you've let go of those things that hurt and are painful. We can't hold on to those things anymore. And I know it sounds a lot easier than it is. But we all need to learn the art of letting go, okay? And when you can remain in a space of self-love, you change time and space around you, okay? Because love transcends dimensions, ladies and gentlemen. It constantly transcends dimensions. And love comes from a higher place. Okay, it's literally, you create a state of grace around you when you maintain that space of self-love. And you know, all I can do is plant these seeds. I'm working on the same processes that I'm sharing with you now. Okay? Love is so powerful that it literally transcends dimensions. And the mistake that I see many young people make is that they have this expectation that love is going to prove something to them. It doesn't have to prove anything. It already exists. It's who you are. It's who I am. It's who we are. Okay? It doesn't have to constantly prove itself. What's imperative is that you yourself, for as long as you can, naturally and genuinely vibrate self-love with genuine self-respect. And if there's one lesson that I wish I could teach young people, it would be that. But I'm still learning that lesson as well. I know that there has been a great deal of discussion about these very specific things with many of the benevolent extraterrestrial groups. When the topic of mentoring has come up, are these things: teaching genuine self-love, genuine self-respect, and knowing that if you can maintain that space, that state of grace, for whatever, or any other word, bliss, nirvana, whatever word you want to use, if you can hold that space, that is 99% of the battle, okay? It's when we decide we don't love ourselves or that we're not worthy, man, we are off that path. That takes us right off the path, and then we can easily be controlled and manipulated with emotions, with lies, with deceit, with anger, etc. But when we get back onto that path of self-love, of self-respect, we vibrate at such a level that none of this shit can even stand in our space. It just moves away. And the only thing that comes to us are others in that same state of space, that same state of grace. That's the frequency that we attract to ourselves. And that is something we should aspire to, consciously wanting to do that every moment of the day. Now, integrating that with our job, with morons that, you know, act like morons, I guess it's just remaining in that space and recognizing them for what they are and just blessing them on their way, you know, but not buying into it. But I know it isn't going to be easy, okay, because this is new for many of us to be in this space. But this is apparently what the first lessons of mentoring, whenever that occurs. These are the things that they're going to talk to humanity about, okay? It's not about guilt. It's not about being sinful. It's not about being not good enough. It's about love, okay? And knowing that it begins and it ends with you. It's not about acting like you're in love. It's about actually finding that place within us that is that essence. And this vibration that's coming is loaded. The vibration that is permeating the earth, that is this light that is now surrounding the earth, our solar system, humanity. It's just permeating, brimming with this knowledge of self-love. God, sometimes it is just so hard to figure out how to put these things into words. Because it's like taking an emotion that you feel in fifth density and trying to explain it in third density. When third density is this big and fifth density is that big, how do you explain that in this? How do you take this and squeeze it into an itty bitty tiny little space called third density? I don't know how to do that yet. I haven't been able to figure it out. Okay? But what's happening is that third density is no longer going to be an itty bitty little space. It is expanding, and it's going to expand into fourth, and then it's going to expand into the fifth. Okay, so you're all going to get what I've been trying to share with you, this, one day into that. Okay, because we're all going to be just moving right into it, especially, when we begin to see things holographically, think holographically. Okay, so all of these things are very much interrelated. And to those the one who loves is never the fool. Okay? The one who loves, the one who feels, is never the fool. It is always the one who doesn't love, who's afraid to love, or won't allow themselves to love. They're the fool. Because they're denying their own existence. They are denying the most incredible gift of themselves that they could possibly ever imagine. So, I wanted to share that with you. That's the message for today, the lesson for today, or the inspired notions for today. Things are picking up. Okay, the frequencies are picking up. World events are changing very, very quickly. Again, I want to remind you that we get some really positive news, and then here comes the containment. You can almost clock it. Here comes the containment of negativity right after it. Okay, the expansion, the negativity. Focus on the expansion. Okay, know that most of the negativity and containment is all being done on purpose. It's all designed. It is all manipulation, okay? And this is all they have left. The regressives, the dark side, is to create fear. They have no more tools in their belt. They have no more tools in their box. This is coming to a conclusion here very soon. And don't be surprised if there's this wave of people dying in their sleep. Real pricks. Don't be surprised. Okay? Do we want to do some questions now?
Hi, Alex. This is from Ryan. Hi, Alex. I have heard that there may be an energy wave in September. Also heard that many of us may shift into 4D in September. Can you confirm either of these events for September? And if so, are they connected?
Well, the energy wave is occurring right now as we speak. Now, whether it's a more powerful wave or not, I don't have any specific information regarding that. As far as fourth density, some of us moving into 4D, some of us are already have much of ourselves planted in fourth D, and what's happening is we're pulling our physicality to it. Okay? I mean, you have to project your consciousness to there first, and then you bring the physicality. Okay, remember, it starts with the spirit first, then the physical. Okay? Spirit's the original idea, the original intent, and then the physical body follows afterwards. Ryan, it could very well be that here very shortly, as you begin to holographically see the world and think holographically, you will begin to realize, wow, I am now really moving into fourth density, because that's the shift. That is one of the major keystones of the shift, is the ability to think holographically. And I can't give you any real hard specifics on what that looks like, as I myself am also going through this process. But that's the next stage. Okay? That's the next stage, is thinking holographically, and then physically we begin to move in and out of third and into fourth, and then at some point, physically our bodies become more light. And what I mean by light is that when we get closer to fifth density, you will be able to travel using your mind pretty much anywhere you want to go. And that's a topic for another webinar. Okay? For those of you who are dream travelers or travel in your dreams, who practice the Toltec ways, you already have some experience with this. So that's all I got on that.
Will the A's stop the poisoning of our air, water, and food?
Okay. Understand something. The A's are not the only ones in this. There is a very large contingency of benevolent races who are here to help. Okay? It's not just about the A's. That's number one. Because I want to make sure everybody gets their credit, their due here. There are many benevolents. Literally, the pollution of the earth can be cleaned up in a week. And I'm not kidding when I say that. The pollution of this planet can be cleaned up in a week once the benevolents get here and the dark side has stepped aside and or died off. Okay? That's how quickly this thing can turn around, because of spiritual technology and the technologies that they use. Remember, everything's a holograph. Everything is a holograph. All physicality is a holograph. Okay? Things can turn around very, very quickly. And I have no clue who's going to run for president, who's going to win president. I'm personally not enamored with any of the candidates. So, remember, remember, the people are supposed to run this country. The people are supposed to decide. Okay, not corporations, not businesses. Okay, the governments were supposed to be and are supposed to be the servant of the people, not the other way around. So we literally have to change our thinking on what we expect government to be. Okay, if you want it to babysit you, then you have to give up your freedoms. If you don't want a babysitter because you can take care of business, you want them to take care of certain things that need to be dealt with, then that voice has to be spoken. Okay, and it has to come from the people to the government to say, look, this is what you're going to do. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. No way are you going to dictate to us, how this is going to be run. We're telling you how we want it to be run. This is all part of self-empowerment. This is all part of that self-respect. You are not going to tread on me. You are not going to shit on me. You are not going to do these things because you think it's going to give you control over us. That is not how this works, ladies and gentlemen. And that is not spiritual evolvement. It's never been spiritual evolvement. Okay? But what has to happen here is that humanity has to get to a place But we see ourselves as one, regardless of race, color, creed. In my humble opinion, all the religions should just get flushed down the toilet. Okay? Because I have not seen them unite anybody. Ever. And that would be a nice start. Okay? Wipe the slate clean. We are now the same. Okay.
So, Alex, from Catherine. Alex, can you provide any update about what's happening in Antarctica?
No, but I find it very interesting. I find it very interesting that all of a sudden now everybody wants to start talking about Lake Vostok Lake, or Lake Vostok down there, when, of course, all information for the last 15 years of what's been going on down there has been totally suppressed, including the disappearance of a news crew and a film crew that was down there. Now all of a sudden people want to start talking about it. So that tells me that they have probably, if there was technology there, they have probably skirted it all away. They've taken it out. They have probably completely sanitized the environment there, so that we don't know jack. And that's how cynical I've become as well with, the powers that be. That's all I have, and I don't have anything specific other than that. But I do find it interesting that now suddenly they're allowing conversation about it, and usually based on my past experience, that's what happens. They come in, they sanitize the area, make sure there's nothing that unique or anything that will create a paradigm shift, and then suddenly they'll let us start talking about it, or they'll even admit that it exists. Okay?
Mm-hmm. So, from George, Alex, organizations like the EU on this planet don't seem to work due to the political stranglehold they have over their member states. Are the Andromedans involved in any forums between either different regions, planets, or star systems like we have on Earth? And how do these forums work for them?
Okay, that's a great question. That's a great question. Now, one of the lessons of Earth has been about the exercise of power. If you look at all of the political structures, and in most part, virtually all the structures that we create, they're all based on power. The ability to have power, to control power, to manipulate power, and to garner more power. Yes, the A's are part of other councils, but my understanding is that none of these councils are based on power. They are based on sharing knowledge, sharing information, and implementing the sharing of the knowledge and the power, or sharing the knowledge and the information with other races. It is not about power over. It is not about, okay, we have all this power and we're going to hold it. That structure, that old paradigm, which began with the reptilian structures, those in Alpha Draconis, the old Orion power structures, and other star systems that were caught up in that structure. Most of those structures have all but crumbled, and many of them don't even exist anymore. There's a few that are left, but they are also crumbling because that paradigm simply doesn't work, because it's not self-generating. You can't continuously feed off of something else and expect to remain healthy. You can't be healthy feeding off the life force of something else. Because once that force dies, once that something else dies, then you have to go to something else. What happens is, in the end, those structures are left with nothing but themselves to feed off of, and they die and they implode. They're gone. They just implode, or they disintegrate and they take themselves out. And if you remember, those of you who have read the notes and in some of the interviews from the 90s, the A's have found remnants of civilizations on other planets that did just that. They were caught in the power struggles and they took themselves out. They no longer even exist. All that's left is the archaeology, the geology of their civilization. Because this paradigm, it simply doesn't thrive. It's not the original intent of this universe, okay? To have power over. That was not the original intent. The original intent is self-love, self-respect, and expansion of joy and love. That was the original intent, okay? And in the end, that's all that's going to be left standing. So I hope that answers your question. And we see that today, with our planet. We see these power structures beginning to crumble. That's because, once you've taken everything and you've bled everything dry to keep yourself in power and there's nothing left, it's over. Game is over. You begin to feed off yourself, okay? And that's what's going to happen. It's going to implode. They're all going to fall down on top of themselves, and those who are completely stuck and will not evolve from that power structure, that power over others, they will be removed. They will die in their sleep. They're going to go. They're just going to go, okay? Because that is not the original intent of humanity. That is not the original intent of the Patal. That is just not going to continue to thrive and survive. It's over. Okay, we're just seeing the remnants. We're watching that whole thing die now. That's what it is. And it should be noted that we should, in fact, watch it die and learn from that history, learn from that paradigm, so that future generations that are beyond us can continue to evolve and learn that lesson and not repeat it.
It's the learning of the lesson and not repeating bit. That's the clever bit. That's what we really need to get to.
And it's the remembering. Yeah. It's the remembering. It's not rewriting history. It's like, okay, this is what really happened. And loving ourselves enough to say, look, mistakes were made, but we've learned from them. We've moved on. Not just throw it under the rug and say, well, we don't want to talk about it. It always comes back. It always rears its head.
Indeed, and that's the subject of some of the roundtables that I want to bring up in the future, is like the true galactic history, our real history in a very detailed way, which I hope that you'll join in with your perspective on that.
If I can, surely. I can tell you it's remarkable. Ladies and gentlemen, when you finally realize, you yourself, without anybody telling you, when you finally realize and you have that moment within you where you truly grasp your place in the galaxy, in the universe, in the creation of time, when you realize that you are not in any way, shape, or form insignificant, that you have this lineage of experiences and lifetimes and knowledge, and the fact that you are just this enormously magnificent being that is beyond description, there's just nothing like it. There is just nothing like it. And it's hard to maintain that moment here on Earth with all this containment going on. But it'll get easier once the containment ends. It will. Because you'll be able to keep more and more of it, more of the knowledge, more of the love, more of the emotion, more of the intuition. You'll be able to maintain more of the trust that you have in you, more and more and more. And the more that builds, the more self-love that you garner, because you have more trust in you, because you're not getting the crap beating out of you every day by the containment of this world trying to control and manipulate. Whew. It's tiring.
Yep.
It really is. You know, it gets old. I mean, it is old. It is old. Okay, JP.
Next question from Deborah. Is the Planet X system still stopped? And will it be stalled till Earth gets to the other side of the Sun? And if so, will this prevent a pole shift with resulting global coastal event? And if the Planet X system flies by when Earth is on the other side of the Sun, what cataclysms do we still need to prepare for? Now, I think you covered some of that earlier, but
we can revisit it. We can revisit it very quickly because I know there's other questions. Yes, it's still stalled or stopped. I've covered the debris field. That there's a lot of cleaning out going on there. Okay. The planet Earth is still moving. We are moving in our rotation around the sun. My understanding is that it is not supposed to come right over the top of us anymore, which would have been the case, and it would have been a horrific, catastrophic, extinction-level event for most life forms on this planet. Okay? Now, just the fact that it is in fact stopped, and what's interesting is that people can see it. There are sky cameras watching it. A friend of mine sent me a video of Russian fighter pilots in the air over northern Russia. There's the sun, and there's the red star right there next to it. Okay, behind it. I mean, it's just amazing, you know. And these are Russian fighter pilots videotaping this, and you know the Russians are sharing this information with their people. You know, so when we say the national anthem, the home of the free and land of the brave, you know, I don't know about the free part anymore. It's sure not looking good. Okay, you know, there's some hypocrisy there, and you know we're all going to have to face that here real soon, I think. Now, as far as the pole shift, I'm not aware of it. I sincerely hope that's not what occurs. I think what's happening with the magnetic field is an interaction with what's going on. We'll just have to stay tuned for that. But the fact that Planet X has stopped, Nibiru has stopped, ladies and gentlemen, that's just a miracle. That is a miracle. Okay? I mean, it is nothing short of a miracle. I mean, you really, those of you who have been watching this and have been paying attention, you just need to know that that's a miracle. Okay? If you had any doubts of a divine hand or divine anything, you know, you need to revisit that because that's a miracle. The fact that it's just sitting there now and we are moving out of its way. My understanding is when it finally does start to move, whenever that is, it will pass behind us, but we will all see it. We will not only see the star, but we will see the 7 planets and moons that evolve around it passing with it. Okay? We will all see it. And they want us to see it. They want us to realize we are part of something much bigger. And it's imperative that people get that. Okay? I mean, think about it. You are multidimensional. And you are living simultaneously on other levels. And your box on Earth is this big. That's it. That's your life. That's a crime that you have narrowed your vision through programming, through fear, through whatever your decisions are, that you have narrowed your vision to this. And the only ones who can change that are you, or those who have their vision this narrow. Okay? So things are going to be presented to open up that narrow vision. There will be no denying it. Okay? So there will be things put in front of everybody where they're going to have to open up their vision and say, wow, how did that get there? When did that get there? You know, because most people aren't paying attention. Now, let's revisit this as well, since we're on the subject. In the last webinar, I talked about Pluto. Well, Pluto, the newest information is that Pluto has a much stronger atmosphere around it than they ever thought it did. So now they're having to revisit the fact that whether Pluto's a planet or not. Okay? So I'm going to put this back on the table because the Babylonians, the Sumerians, the Chaldeans, they all had it right. Okay? They described our solar system from the outside in, describing all the planets, their colors, everything. And the fact that some are on their side, had rings, all of this was described. Planet 9 is, in fact, Planet 10. Planet 10, and a numerical value is 10. Okay? Planet X, which is a numerical value, is, in fact, a 10. We're all talking about the same thing. Okay? It's all semantics. It's doublethink, it's double talk. You got to be able to look past all that shit. Okay? Because they're really, really good at this. They're really, really good at this. We are all talking about the same thing. Okay. Next question.
Meanwhile,
I don't mean to keep rambling, and I hope I'm not.
Please don't. No, you're not. Don't worry about it. It's not a ramble. I mean, you say things from your heart and soul, which just touch everybody, and that's the important thing. This is a question from Laurie. This is a very different topic. The boxes of 1 million souls that the Greys had. What were the boxes made of, and how can technology be stronger than spirit? These capturing of the souls, I believe. I don't know what that's referring to. I've not seen that anywhere, but are you aware of that? Is that something you said?
Yeah, that's old information, and that's a really good question. Laurie, I don't know exactly what the technology is, but I can tell you that in order to trap those souls, they were deceived into moving into what they thought was a spiritual realm, and when in fact it was a holograph that had been created to entrap them. Let me say it again. A holograph was created to entrap these beings into believing they were moving into a spiritual realm, when in fact it was a holograph to entrap them. I want that to sink in. Okay? And to
that
say
was a
more
previous
than
ascension.
that, I'll get myself in, I will get pounded.
Alex, was this a previous ascension attempt? Can you say that? I mean, these souls come from a long time ago?
Not that long ago. Not that long ago.
Right, okay.
Define long ago. I mean,
well, I mean, in terms of thousands of years, dozens of years.
Some were thousands of years. Others were not.
Okay, right.
Okay.
Enigma upon enigma. It's always good stuff.
Everything is a holograph. Okay. What's important is knowing the one that you're participating in from the one that you have nothing to do with. And it's all frequency. It's all vibration. Make a note. In the next webinar, we're going to spend a lot of time on that. Okay? This is a subject I'm a little nervous about talking about, because there are certain things, like when we talk about frequencies, they hammer me, the dark side. They come right after me right away. But I think the time has come to do something about about this. If there's a holograph in front of you and you're in the woods and it appears to be real, but there's absolutely no sound, why do you think there's no sound? Why is it that they can't duplicate the actual sounds of nature in real time? How is it they can't do that? But they can create a mirror image of what you see visually. Okay? I'm giving you guys something to think about here. One's creation, created by intent. The other is technology. The holograph created with intent, which is spiritual soul, which is spiritual knowledge. That which is created by intent will always carry the higher vibration, the higher frequency. That which is created by technology, if you are in tune with yourself, you will know the difference in a heartbeat. You will. We're going to spend some time on that in the next webinar, folks. That may be the only thing we talk about, other than whatever updates I get. Okay?
The Holograph of Our Universe. This is from Joanne. Hi, Alex. What is your opinion about so-called ascension groups that say they are assisting people with the ascension process, but are actually consciously or unconsciously being manipulated by higher vibrational beings into another matrix system? How synchronous that question is.
What do I think of groups like that? Why are there even groups like that? Why are people even participating in groups like that? Especially if they have the knowledge you have. The essence that is your soul is directly connected to Source. Okay? There is no middleman, and I know that there are religions that want you to think that. There is no middleman. The only reason there would be a middleman is if you didn't come directly from Source. Do you understand? But the fact that you come directly from Source, the fact that you intentionally are creating yourself all the time, that should tell you you don't need a manager. You don't need a boss. What you need to do is to get back in touch with your original intent. If there is assistance that is being offered that totally self-empowers you in every way and asks nothing of you, I would pay attention to that. But if they are asking you for something in return for helping you become fully self-empowered, I would run like the dickens. Because it's not genuine. Because again, it's the power structure. It's just cloaked in something else. Okay? It's just cloaked in something else. Ekankar is a beautiful example of that. Okay? It is cloaked into something else. It is the power structure cloaked as something else. Okay? You guys know this. You are living in multi-dimensions. You are multi-dimensional. You have fallen down through dimensions into time here. None of you were hatched here. None of you were hatched here. Okay? You just have to remember. You just have to remember. And there's no one way to remember. Okay? You just have to want to remember. Okay? Oh my God, you are creating you. You can get this. You can get this. You can get this. Oh my God.
It's a bit like being able to see one of those pictures that sort of pops up into 3D, and like you're just looking over somebody's shoulder, you can just see it, and you can be staring at it for hours and you can't see it. It's just the way you look at something, isn't it?
It's perspective. You're absolutely
Perspective
right.
is the word. Yes, perspective.
It's perspective. That's what
Perspective.
it is.
Yeah. And this is what I'm always saying. People say, "Oh, he's right, he's wrong." No, I said that everybody's got their own perspective. Everybody's
They
got their own
do.
universe.
They do. And it's all, and our perspective is nothing more than the filters of what we value. Those filters of value, that is what creates our perspective. But if your filters and your values tend towards the more negative side, well, you need to shift. You need to make some shifts. You need to clean out the filters, and you need to learn the art of letting go, because those filters are clogged with all the woulda, coulda, shouldas. That's the past. Let it all go. Okay, clean those filters and start with what you're going to do today, how you want to live today. What is it you want in your life today? What is it you want to create that is joy, abundant, happy today? That's the filters you need to put on your perspectives. All that other shit, that is gone. It is over. Why are you dragging it with you? Let it go. Oh my God, please let it go. It isn't serving you. It isn't serving you. Okay? Every day is a new day. Every day has unlimited, infinite possibilities. But you're the one who has to intend it. It can't be intended for you. Okay? Self-love, self-respect, self-empowerment. You have to do it. The tools are here. Stop looking at yourself as a physical being and remember you're a spiritual being, a multidimensional spiritual being. Remember that. The tools are all around you. The energy is all around you. Just remember that. It's not hard. It's not hard. You just got to trust yourself. Okay? You got to trust yourself. Inch it out. Just try it. Just try it. Okay?
Okay, from Alex, we've been told from a few sources currently about a takeover of the White House by General Dunford and the team using the John F. Kennedy tunes, maybe, I don't know. Also, 2 neutron or exotic bombs were exploded at Area 51, one at S4. Have you any information on these events? Or confirmation or
I know
understanding?
nothing about neutron bombs being detonated.
Hmm.
I know nothing about that. I have heard the rumors regarding the old regime, uh, the government bought and paid for and owned by the Federal Reserve, or the international bankers. And then I've heard the rumors about the New Republic. I myself, I am familiar with those things, but I myself have not seen any real proof of any new republic or any of that yet. I am aware of a lot of changes going on within the financial system. I'm aware of the battle that is going on there. And that battle clearly signifies the difference between the light and the dark. But I have not seen anything that tells me that a new government or a reestablished original government is in fact in place. I have not seen anything to prove that to me yet. I'm not ruling it out, but I have not seen anything that tells me that that's real yet.
From Michael Kelly. According to the A's, through you, many of us humans used to be Patal, higher density beings, and we fell into third density. Assuming a person is a Patal, is that person experiencing this Earth life as a soul fragment, whereas the larger, more whole soul is still in 12th density?
Okay, that's a nice question. That's a really, I like that question. Number one, there is no used to be in that question. Okay? You didn't used to be anything. You still are. Okay? And as far as a fragment, I would have to say yes, that is absolutely true, because third densities on a frequency scale is about that big. Maybe a little bigger, but that big. Fourth density is that. Fifth density is this. And it exponentially expands from there. So if you're this and you're trying to put that in an itty-bitty tiny little space like this, yes, you will have to condense and fragment it in order for it to operate in this frequency. But there is no used to be, Patal. Okay? There is no used to be. So if you need that to empower yourself, you go for it, because that is there for you. You understand? That is there for you.
Marie, hi Alex. Do you know if there are any benevolent ETs who are willing to help humans with regressive or energetic physical implants? Thank you so much.
I understand that has been going on. There have been many removed. Maybe not everyone, but I know that there's been a process of that actually occurring, and I believe that there are a lot of people, abductees and contactees, who are on the record as actually stating that has in fact been going on. I can also tell you that there is in fact boots on the ground who have the ability and have had the experience of meeting people, and whether it's just in passing or purposely bumping into someone, putting their hand in the right place and disarming implants. So there is a lot going on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not at liberty to spell it all out, because, we're on a battlefield. Whether we realize it or not, we are on a battlefield. And there are many levels to this battle that is going on. And it's going on all around us. But the answer to your question is yes. The answer to your question is yes.
From Michael Kelly. Hi, Alex. When you lived on the Age ship for 91 days, did it seem like years?
No, it didn't. Even though I slept a lot because of my biological clock, I have to tell you, in retrospect, it passed. It was like a blur. It passed so quickly. And one of the things that has always bothered me is that when I was up there on fifth density, there were so many things that I did not see for a long period of time, because my mind simply couldn't comprehend those things. And it took what turned out to be months for me to actually begin to truly see visually their reality. For weeks, things that I was physically familiar with, having been on the ship with Mornay and Phaseus, I was able to see. I recognized those things. But things that were not on their ship, like their forests, their trees, their colors, their animals, their critters, it took me a very, very long time to even begin to visually see those things. And then it was over, and then I had to come back. So for me, it went by really, really fast, even though I was there almost 91 days. I wish I could do it over again. I do. I wish I could do it over again. And that's why sometimes we just don't see things in front of us. It's because we're just not familiar with them. You know, that was a bummer. That was a bummer that I didn't see more while I was there. That's one of the regrets that I have. You know, that I spoke of earlier. That I have some regrets and things that I would want to do different. That's one of them. That I would
Alex,
truly want to be able to take in all of that reality.
what was it, Alex, that slowly dissolved, if you like, over that period of time? Which seems to be that to them that would be like one of their weekends.
It was their nature. It was nature. It was the nature that they lived in on the ship. It's nothing like what we have here. And I just couldn't see it because my mind didn't know what it was. It didn't process it. Okay? It didn't know how to process it. It couldn't process the colors because it didn't recognize anything. It didn't see it because it wasn't anything that happened here. Shoot, my time is up. And they just
Alex, it's been brilliant.
Guys, I'm sorry. These things go by so fast. I think that's why we're going to do 2 a month.
Yeah, it's much more relaxed when you do 2 a month.
James will post it up on the site when we get that all ironed out, but it's real soon. Guys, I love you. Thank you for the donations, the few that I get. You have no idea how it helps me make it from one week to the next. God bless you. I love you, and we'll see you soon, okay?